Welcome back, everybody. Yes, it's that time of the week again, bitch. It is another saucy, delicious episode of Old School, New School Comedy Podcast, and I am your shit-talking host, Christy Miller, and we are broadcasting here kind of live at Broadway Comedy Club here in New York City, and it's Pride Month. Happy Pride, you cocksuckers, and I mean that literally. I love you. To all my coctologists, my vegetarians, happy Pride. I live, honey. I love, this is my favorite month of the year. And with me this time to kick off Pride, very funny, in the game, Old School, is an OG, about 24 years in. He's a stand-up comic, did a lot of the cruises, he did the college circuit. He was on Logo, he was on Comedy Central, he is a big-time writer, he is the GHEY of all trades. And I just met him today, like formally, and I'm obsessed with him. Give it up for Eddie Sarfaty.
Hello, thank you for having me on the Big Gay podcast.
It's gay, no. We've had a lot of gays on here because I need them in my life.
Yeah. I need them.
Yeah, hello.
I'm a little over them. after a few decades, I'm like,
You're like, it's June 2nd. Ugh, I'm done with you. Goodbye. It's over.
I know. It seems like Gay Pride Month just sort of, it's Gay Pride Month. Like I'm the worst at preparing for things. I all of a sudden, like my feed is like pride flags and pink triangles. A little much.
You're like, what's our agenda? Like, what are we supposed to do? It's Sunday.
I know. I barely have an agenda for me.
Right. I barely get out of bed every day.
It's hard to be, because I'm Jewish, and it's
get out of here.
Well, it's hard to be Jewish and gay because, can I actively promote the gay agenda while still being part of the international Zionist conspiracy? It's always
it's a lot of work.
It's not an either or kind of thing.
It's like, do I take over the world or do I just redecorate it? What am I doing here, girl? Yes.
Taking over would be easier.
Oh God, I'm ready to take over everything and just make it an outdoor strip mall with amusement parks, strip clubs, restaurants, and then have fun. Everybody just needs to lighten up. It's too much. Everybody's too afraid of everything.
Yeah.
They're coming for you.
Well, they are kind of.
Yeah, you got a point.
They are kind of.
They always think the wrong people are coming for them. No, you ever notice that? It's like, no, it's really not us.
It's not us. It's not us.
We're just here, okay? We're just trying to have a good time, bitch. Leave me out of this. So, you've been in the game a long time, and it's crazy because with comedy, all these years, and there's like 100 million of us out there. And it's like there's circles and circuits and then sub-circuits and sub-circles and cliques and sub-cliques. And it's like, it's kind of like Heathers, It's like, it's very cliquey and very mean girl. But so your circuit, because I've never gotten to work with you, which is bizarre. But at the same time, I'm not surprised. I mean, there's people I've known for a long time that we've never even crossed paths until like 20 years in or 25 years in.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
Where did you grow up in your comedy life?
Where did I grow up? Here in New York. Yeah. When I was a kid, I was a fat kid and I have a lot of friends. My parents sent me to a summer camp for the performing arts, and I loved it. And I went there a whole bunch of summers, and I did choir and theater, and I wanted to be an actor. And then, I did all kinds of... the high school plays and community theater and all that. And I went to college and I was a theater major. Mm-hmm. And I kind of thought, midway through it, that the serious nuts and bolts of acting, what's the author's intent, what's the director's vision, what's my motivation? I started to get like a little crazy because it was like too much minutia for me in a way. And also, when you're in college, you're 22 years old and you're playing Willie Loman in Death of a Salesman. So you're supposed to try and figure this out. You're never going to get cast in that. So it really made me feel very self-conscious. And then I was studying at the the National Theater Institute
Mm.
at the Eugene O'Neill after college, and I was telling a story to some people on the beach, and it was one of those things where someone says, oh my God, come here, Eddie, tell them the story, you got to hear this story. And I told the story a few times, and this woman in my class said, you should be a stand-up comic. And I never had entered my mind.
And you're like, you should mind your business.
Right,
bitch.
and it's just like, whatever. And then a couple days later, I was in this Shakespeare class, and I was butchering this soliloquy from Henry V. I don't know what I was doing, and the teacher was trying to instruct me, and I was just goofing it up, and people were laughing. And then this other woman in the class said, she's right, you should be a comic. But it was so scary a prospect.
Yeah.
Like, it was so scary. It was years, like more than a decade till I ever even got the nerve to try it.
Right.
And I just was like, okay, this is going to be like a bucket list thing. I'm just going to do it. And I did it. And, I didn't die. Either way. No, I didn't actually. I mean, no one's first set is brilliant, but it wasn't a catastrophe at all. No.
It's not as scary as people think it is.
No, but, well, it's funny you say that, because even though I'd been on stage a million times, it made me sick the whole day just thinking about it. It's a different animal than being in a play or something.
Well, because it's you.
Right, exactly.
It's just you and a microphone, your words, your thoughts. You're not hiding behind a character or somebody else's dialogue, someone else's direction, other actors.
Right. And, the most you can do when you're up there is blame your mother. Right.
Hello. I blame her anyway.
And so I was so pleased when I did it that I actually agreed to go bungee jumping the next week, because I knew it wouldn't be quite as scary.
Hilarious. Careful banging on the table.
Oh, sorry.
Really reverb. That's okay.
Sorry. And so then I had done it, and then I did it like again the next year, once or twice, and then I just was doing it half-assed for a whole bunch of years until like 2001, when I just said, I can't be 80 years old on my deathbed regretting that I didn't try this.
Right.
And I quit my job, and I said, I got to make this work.
Nice.
Yeah. And luckily I had a gig in Provincetown for the summer performing, which was great. And that was where really I learned how to be a really strong comic. And I, just from doing it, it's all about doing it. You can't get better if you don't do it.
Exactly. It's like working out. It's 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
You just got to do it and find your voice and And it's like back then in 2001, it was a lot different than it is now. I mean,
oh my gosh, yeah.
How are you handling it now with all the social media and all the TikTokers?
Mostly I hide.
Yeah.
And then I cry. And then I feel old and overeat to compensate. I don't know. I mean, I can't.
So it's Tuesday.
I can't. It's like I have, enough trouble focusing on, whether to eat the peas or the mashed potatoes first. I can worry about, it just makes me crazy. And I open my email, and it's just like this avalanche of stuff every day.
Yeah.
And, and I always feel like I was brought up to be very polite. I'm sorry. Yeah,
that's okay.
Here, let me put this over here. I was brought up to be very polite. When someone contacts you, asks you a question, you respond.
Yeah.
So I'm very tied up with things. It's like I can't not respond to people. But I mean, I know that that's socially acceptable to not respond now, but it makes me...
Because we're old school people pleasers. Because we know what it's like to not be responded to.
Well, I suppose, I like online dating.
Oh,
now I had never been online dating. And then 15, 16 years ago, I had a really bad breakup, and I was I'm going to go online. So I went on one of these hookup sites. And, it's nourishing to have someone like, oh, hi, they're interested in you.
Right.
And so I feel like, in my experience, whenever I've made the first move, I know how hard that is. So when people would say, hey, what's up? I would feel like I had to write to them, even though it's they're doing the same thing to 40 other people, just because it's like a numbers game to find the person. And yet I was just
shit against the wall.
Yeah. And I was just I spent so much time just trying to engage people because I felt bad that there was some lonely, desperate person on the other end of this.
I never contacted you.
No. Yeah. But I would have responded.
Desperate, lonely person, party of one. Desperate, lonely person, party.
Well, and I think that's bad. I think it's all that's so bad because we just don't treat each other as people. We just forget there's another person on the end of our Facebook rant or whatever.
Yeah, people are so disconnected from each other. Even though social media is supposed to connect everybody, we're so disconnected. Nobody talks to each other. They just comment at each other, and that's it.
Rant.
Yeah, and just listen to the sound of their own fingers typing. It's just, it's pathetic. But
that's made it worse for me because I never took typing in high school because I wasn't going to be someone's secretary. And now I'm just like, it's 40 years later and I'm still hunting and pecking.
I took typing in the 6th grade. It was one of the things we had to do in 6th grade.
Oh, that sounds like a really good school.
And I was like, I'm not hot enough to be a secretary. Why am I doing this? I'm never going to fuck my boss. The garbage man, maybe.
That's really funny.
The garbage man's much harder, though.
Yeah. Maybe. Like a guy who works with his hands.
Oh, right? Especially on this body, because, honey, I need to go to a body shop. Put me up on the things and hydraulics and change my oil, please. I need a lube job, people.
Oh, just got the wrench out of it.
Oh, yeah?
So you're saying, like, when we started out, I had 2 friends who were gay that started about the same time I did, and they never talked about it. And
you couldn't.
Well, I mean, you could. I did, but it's not all I talked about. I mean, it's just one of the things I talked about. But because they maybe got offered a few things that I didn't get asked to do, but because I just was willing to talk about it, I started getting all these offers to perform at all these LGBT events.
Awesome.
And it was a lot more stage time that they were getting. And I didn't set off to be the gay comic,
You just got stage time.
It just started being this market. And I'm like, okay, it's money and the people are nice and I'm having fun.
I love doing gay events.
Yeah.
I love it. Like, I have more fun playing those because you get, like you said, it's a lot of stage time and they're actually appreciative of somebody coming in.
Well, yeah, and now it's very different because there's a gay people. But this was before Ellen or Will and Grace or any of that stuff.
Yeah, like in the 90s, at the Comedy Store, if you were gay, you didn't talk about it on stage. And you otherwise it would pinhole you into this little gay corner.
That's, I didn't want...
Well, you can't relate to straight people. I'm like, they're still people. So like people... Like, like
you say, no, I don't like them, but I can relate to them. No.
Exactly. But it's like all the gay comics I knew back then, like Judy Gold, and Steve Moore, and Suzanne Westenhofer, and like.
Did you know Bob Smith?
Oh yeah.
So Bob Smith was my best friend.
Oh, stop.
Yeah. So Bob Smith was a wonderful person in my life, and for those of you who don't know, Bob Smith was the first openly gay comic on late night on the Tonight Show and to have his HBO special. And
he's incredible.
Yeah, and he with 2 other guys, Danny McWilliams and Chaffee Cohn, were the first openly gay comics in New York in the 90s, and no one knew what to do with them. Yeah. Because the owners of the clubs would say, "Oh, you're really funny, but I don't think my audience is going to go for that."
They're not going to relate.
And it was like during AIDS and all this stuff, and they decided, "Fuck this," and they put a show together called Funny Gay Males, which was, it was the same time as like Single White Female, all those personal ads were coming out. And they booked it at the Duplex for 2 weekends, and they got reviewed in the New York Times, the Village Voice, and ended up running for 2 years.
Right.
And they quit their jobs, and they were, they were booked into theaters all over the country, and they went to Canada and Australia, and they worked many seasons in Provincetown performing.
Sure.
And, gay people were not the comedy club audience because gay people didn't like going to comedy clubs because they were the butt of the jokes. Who wanted to do that?
Not only were they the butt of the jokes, but they were also alienated if they were gay.
Right.
Especially with even gay comics were alienated on the lineups. Like, at the Comedy Store, Mitzi gave the gays Wednesday nights in the belly room, so it was gay lesbian night.
Yeah. Well, that's what happened. So they ended up doing this show for a bunch of years, and then they all went on different things. And Bob wrote a book, and Chaffee wrote a book, and then I ended up connecting with them in 2001, and I went back with them to perform in Provincetown for the year as part of Funny Gay Males, which was like a real, it was like kind of an honor to, and Bob and I became very close, and we were very good at, finishing each other's sentences and so forth. He moved to New York and became my roommate. And then, he got ALS.
Yes, yes.
So I became very close with him for the next 10 years,
Right.
And, just really a wonderful and supportive person in my life. But when they were starting, like, it was really hard for them to be gay in the mainstream clubs. And when I started too, I mean, it was, they would book me at like Homo Comicus, which is, a great show, but
still, it's like, why do I have to be on a gay show?
Right.
Why can't I just be a comic?
Well, one of the things that I told, because I would call in my availabilities every week, and then I said, my stuff is much more, has broader appeal.
Right.
And they said, well, we know we can hire you for this. And so we know we can give you stage time for this, and other people we can't use for this. So if I hire you for this, then that frees up other stage time that I can give to people.
Oh, that is such a shitty thing.
I know. I mean, it's
shitty.
Partly understandable, but it's
still,
still,
it's like segregating. These people do this room. These people do this room. These people do that room. It's like
right. Well, I think that Logo was kind of like that too. Is like,
Right.
It was a great opportunity, but it also, pigeonholed people who
That's
didn't
why it's
need
gone.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if that's why it's gone. They did some, it wasn't really, the best.
No.
They weren't programming the best. I don't know that they had a lot of money, but
whatever. They tried.
yeah. I mean, it was
They
just
tried.
like,
It was cute.
I think it's that they didn't know what they wanted it to be.
They didn't know what they wanted it to be, and they didn't know what they could do with it at the same time. Like,
Right.
they didn't know what they had.
Right.
And I think Logo was amazing. I was so happy when it came out. I'm like, finally, like, let's put gay people on TV, but why is it on a cable network? Why is it a small? And it's like, I don't think they realized at the time it was groundbreaking, and they didn't take it to where it could have went. I think it was a little too soon for
I
people
think they
to
were
handle it.
afraid of it.
Yes.
Because I remember
yes, they were
people
afraid
telling
of
me
what they
that
could do with it,
they
yeah.
wanted to do a whole expose about like drugs in the gay community and the party circuit and all that, to do like a documentary. And from what I heard, and I could be wrong, I'm hearing this secondhand, is that people were like, oh, that's a lot for us to put out to the public. Maybe we should, So it really was sort of like, it wasn't really gay TV for gay people.
It was gay TV to show straight people it's okay to not like us and still pigeonhole us
or it's okay. No, it's for
I'm an OG.
It's for that show us that we're not so different from you.
Yeah, but at the same time, what that would have shown is, look at those gays. They're just dirty.
Yeah.
That's what they get. And that's what you would have gotten the response from.
Right. So I mean, A for effort, but it was a tough. It was a brave endeavor to do it.
Yeah, and I think they were a little ahead of their time and were too afraid. If they weren't afraid, and if they would have just went for it.
Right. I mean, look at things like now, like how popular RuPaul is.
It's mainstream. It's all, he sold his show franchised all over the world.
I know.
It's one of the biggest shows in the world. And here's this little, she's 100 feet tall. Here's
good for him.
Yeah, here comes, Ru in his dress and singing Supermodel, #1 song, #1 dance hit in the clubs, and now he's like huge, like he's the biggest thing, and it's like, it just shows, like, it makes me so like my head starts to cave in a little bit with how close-minded people are, and how people, if something's different than you, they want to destroy it or do something to it or hurt it.
The thing about drag, though, I have friends who are performers, drag performers, who are brilliant. One thing about drag, though, is that it's always been a little less threatening to mainstream than real life gay men.
100%, because it's a costume.
It's a costume.
Character. It's not you as a gay man.
It's clowny in a way, and
it's
stuff.
Theatrical.
Yeah, so it's, people are, you see this in Provincetown, all the straight people like see, someone dressed up as a 6'2" Liza Minnelli, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's Liza,
Yeah. Well, back then, when I was, when I was a kid, I'm 53, so as a kid growing up in San Francisco, it was bad, and and I remember drag queens when I was a kid that they would have to put their shit in a suitcase and bags and go into the dive bars after hours, get dressed in those seedy, dirty bathrooms, put on a show, and then have to clean up in those seedy, dirty bathrooms and hide, because if they went outside with makeup on or dress, they get killed.
Yeah.
you know, and it was just like, now look at it.
Now they just get asked where they got their shoes.
Now they're like, can I follow you on Instagram? I mean,
isn't that wild? It's wild. Well, I mean, like, you know, when I was a kid, the idea that you like get up and be married,
right?
Was like astonishing.
Like, I mean, gays can get married.
I know.
It's not that long ago, you know.
Right.
It's crazy. Like, but at the same time, it's like it's so funny how gay people constantly get like ridiculed or put on the spot. And I was trying to tell someone, I did a swingers cruise a year and a half ago. Oh, it was traumatizing. It's things no Christian should ever see.
I'm sure I've seen it.
That was my Vietnam. You know? And as much shit as I talk on stage, I'm a prude. You know, I'm not a prude in a bad way. I'm just like a normal person. I'm like, nothing. I'm not. People are disgusting.
People do what they want to do.
Yeah.
You know.
But I was laughing because here I am on a boat with 3,000 people that swing in the daytime in their little cul-de-sac in middle America. They hate people that live their lives out loud. Gays, drag queens, binary, non-binary, whatever. And they hate liberal-minded people that just don't give a shit what people think of them and live their life. Meanwhile, they're living in this box because they don't want people to see what they do in the privacy of their own home because they don't want to be judged. And I'm like, but here you are, fucking everybody's husband and wife and 3,000. Okay.
You know.
Okay.
I think it's good. I mean, because the more exposed people are to stuff like that, the less likely they are to be judgmental.
Yeah, and I told them, I said, even when I was on stage, at one point, it got really crazy, and I was just like, listen, you guys need to calm the fuck down and not stop giving a fuck what your neighbors think. If you want to suck everybody's husband's dick, then you be the best husband dick sucker in your little fucking town.
That's right.
And you own that
Do what
bitch.
you love.
I said, you own it, honey. Fuck what they think. They're just jealous because they can't suck it as good as you. They can't unhinge their jaw the way you can. You know, that's why.
It's like just like this like proper like Midwest, you know, like they all went to like Miss Porter school.
Right. It's like, it's so funny how they live these double lives, and it's like, no wonder why you're so miserable and you hate everybody that's open to who doesn't give a shit. You give a shit. That's your problem. Stop giving a shit what people think. Live your best life, honey. You only get one time around.
Well, it's such a double standard. You know, it's like, you know, moral outrage, and meanwhile, you know, people watch Maury Povich or what, you know, there's shows where it's I slept with my sister's son, and you know, or
you are not
you
the
know,
father.
I mean, Trump, who's like cheated on all his wives, and you know, it's
go ahead, you know, whatever floats your boat, dude.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, but stop trying to tell other people they can't because you can't.
Yeah.
You know, do you, boo. Handle your business. Stop worrying about other people's businesses. But anyway.
Are we a little off the comedy?
I know. We gotta get back on the track. So you've written. Okay, here's a fun one because this is somebody I love very much. You helped Judy Gold write her show.
Yeah, I co-wrote Judy's show with her. Yes, I can say that, which is sort of about what we were talking about before.
Yes.
It's about how comedy and comics are under attack.
Mm-hmm.
In a way that is new. You know, it used to be that the right wing would be after comics for saying something that was too sexual or too politically, you know, volatile. Yeah. But now it's also it's also the left, this political correctness, to the point where it's just stupidity.
Yeah,
you know,
it's people wanting attention. Remember back in 2000, Joan Rivers, Mama, the Queen, God rest her soul, I wish she would come visit me and tell me jokes in my sleep, she was complaining about this on TV, on E, about the censorship and the political correctness. She says it's bullshit. Stop fucking getting offended by everything that has nothing to do with you.
Right. We talked a lot about that. We did a whole section about Judy growing up watching Joan Rivers and you know, Toady Fields and so forth, and how, you know, Joan said never apologize for a joke.
Never.
And the thing about Joan I find interesting is, and I think we talked about this a little on our phone call, is that, you know, Joan insulted the audience.
Yes.
Joan insulted the audience, and she was brilliant, and people laughed at her. And Don Rickles insulted the audience, and people laughed. And there are people like that now, like Lisa Lampanelli would like insult the audience, or
I insult the
Judy,
audience.
right?
Judy.
And because that's people see that being successful, a lot of new comics think that that's what you're supposed to do. Like you go up and like make fun of people,
yeah, because everybody's posting their crowd work and stuff, and not posting material because they don't want the material out there until they record,
right,
which is fine. And then the audiences also think it's all about the crowd work, so they go out wanting to be part of the show.
Right. Well, I think some people are brilliant at crowd work, and some people are brilliant about crowd work. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to pick on people.
No.
Right. I'm of the opinion that, you know, if people are nice enough to spend their money and take their time to come see me, why should I pick on them?
Yeah, but even when I'm roasting somebody in the audience, I'm building them up and tearing myself down at the same time as I'm destroying them. I'm building them up higher and higher as I destroy.
Right.
It's a talent. You have to have that. I'm not a storyteller. Some people are amazing storytellers and crush rooms with stories. Not me. I'm a ranter. I'm a roaster. I love self-deprecation. I love pop culture.
Right.
I love, I don't do anything political because I don't want anyone to feel divided in the audience with this climate that we're in now. I want everybody here to I want everybody to come together.
Right. Well, that's the thing. All those people that I was mentioning, like Joan and Don
Toady and all that.
The audience was willing to take that from them because those people were able to put out that I'm a good person behind all these jokes.
Yeah,
and people were able to understand that.
Yeah, their intent was love. There was no malintent. And a lot of times when you see comics, which because you teach comedy, right?
And they all think, because they've seen people kill insulting people, they think that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, but they don't realize, if you have any stitch of anger, any stitch of maliciousness or bitterness in your body, that you resent anybody or you have any kind of jealousy or insecurity, and you try to roast somebody in the audience, it's going to come off very mean.
Right.
Because that underlying intent is underneath.
Unless they come at you first, then the gloves are off.
That's different. Yeah, it's different. It depends on what happens. But even when people come for me, I de-escalate.
Well, I do too. I mean, if people come to me, I try and ignore them, and then maybe I'll just give them a look, and but then if they keep, eventually you have to.
Yeah, you have to. And
then the audience is on your side because they hate them as much as you do.
But also you and I come from a place of love and fun. We're not here to hurt anybody. We want everybody to love and have a good time. We want everybody to win. So when we make fun of something, it doesn't come from a mean spirit.
Right.
And some of these kids don't understand the intent. So when you see them do it, or they try, and it's that's not who you are.
In my class, we talk a lot about the intent. I always ask them, the first day, what's the most important part of a joke? And people will say, oh, the punchline, or, and I say, of course, that's hugely important, and the setup and whatever else they come up with. I said, the really most important thing, I think, is why are you telling this joke? The audience is there, they're live, they want a connection. They want more than anything, they want a connection.
What does that mean to you?
So, you can be angry, you can be sharing your anger about something with the audience. You can be sharing your, titillation with something with the audience. You can be sharing your aggravation, but you have to be sharing that
Not
thing.
Attacking.
Right. You have to be sharing that thing. I mean, everyone that I know feels overwhelmed about something. Everyone I know feels terrified of something. So tap into that.
Right.
And I think a lot of people think it's just about the joke. And if
intent.
You can be, the most you can be without the emotion is clever. And you want to be better than that. You want to be people to leave there feeling full and connected.
It's all about intent. Like you said, how do you feel about that subject you talk about? Does it upset you or does it make you happy? Like what I say, talk about things you love and talk about things you hate.
Right.
And it doesn't necessarily mean, just because you hate something doesn't necessarily mean it's coming from anger. And that's where that to me, that fine line is. Because sometimes it more comes from frustration because you care so much.
Right.
In the sense,
absolutely.
Or anger that you want to destroy it and kill it. Die, or Joker, when do they get a load of me? That kind of shit. That's that's not a good place.
Well, that's why we're talking about the attacks on comics, is that people hear a trigger word, and even if it's completely in a different context, they hear
what they want to hear.
They immediately get defensive. they tweet at the height of their outrage without thinking,
Yeah.
and then it goes viral, and then comics are called, racist or homophobic or whatever.
Yeah. It's horrible because people pick and choose what they want to hear, and they pick and choose how reality really is.
Well, also, it's going back to the whole thing about this interfacing with people online. Is people, you keep reading texts and posts, and people, especially young people, it scares me because they don't know how to read nuance. They don't know how to hear cadence. They don't know how to interpret body language, and that's really a problem.
Yeah, it is a problem. And there's kids today that like grew up on text messages. They grew up on TikTok and Instagram, so they don't even know how to make a phone call or have a conversation with somebody because they're so used to doing it with their fingers.
And it gets into, it's the third election that Donald Trump is participating in. And if you think about it, kids who were 8 years old in 2016 are now, or 10 years old, are now 18.
Yeah.
So all their formative years was seeing this politics that's just tweets and nasty.
Yeah.
And do they think
tweets.
and is that, they're going to carry that forward as normal? That's really frightening.
Yeah, it is. It is frightening. And it's like, that's why it's our job to show them.
And show them how scary it is, but how, we have to make it funny. We have to make it accessible. Otherwise, it's too overwhelming.
And when you tell people you can't talk about these things, you can't talk about this joke because people will get offended, that's not my problem. That's that's a them problem, not a us problem.
Well, I mean, I have to say,
because
if you're punching down, if you're up
that's
there,
different.
That's different, right?
That's
And
different.
I'm just clarifying that for the listeners because some people conflate the two.
Of course,
it's a problem.
you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's one thing when you're attacking people like deliberately and because you can feel the intent. You can feel, and nothing scares me, nothing offends me. I'm like, whatever, because I have a thick skin and I live by this motto. There's 4 things in life. If it doesn't pay my rent, it doesn't feed me, it doesn't put clothes on my back or eat my pussy, it has no power over me. So, but it's true. It kind of puts things in perspective. So I look at things like that. Well, did it check any of those 4 boxes? No. Then I'm not going to let it get in my head and get in my psyche and hurt me emotionally or eat at me, because it's like, why would I give something like that power over me? There's a lot bigger and better things to focus on.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's just scary that subjects are off limits.
Yeah.
Which no subject should be off limits.
We're here to make it palatable to process everything that's going on since day one.
I mean, look,
Lenny Bruce went to prison. It's Dice Clay got banned in the 80s, the late 80s.
More people, the people who watch The Daily Show are more politically informed than people who watch the news.
Yeah, I don't watch the news. I can't.
Because, Jon Stewart or whoever.
But Jon Stewart makes it palatable.
Make it palatable. Make it palatable. It's not scary.
That's his gift. He found his lane. Like going back to what we were saying about crowd work or work in the room or storytelling, Jon Stewart found his true voice of being a political comedian and analyst.
He's, the Will Rogers of
He's brilliant at it. He's so he makes it fun to learn, you know. And it was even with when Obama was running, and how it was just, I was like, this guy is so brilliant. Thank God for Jon Stewart to really get this message out for change and to open our eyes and our ears and get out of our own fucking way and stop being so fucking fearful of people that don't look like us.
Yeah, and one of the great things is he's sort of, started a trend for that. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the people on The Daily Show are brilliant. Then you have people like Samantha Bee and John Oliver and Stephen Colbert and all these people out there doing this, really important work.
Yeah, it's like I used to love when Liz Winstead, because she created The Daily Show. And I used to watch her when I was growing up on TV. I thought she was hilarious. And then when I found out as I got older, when The Daily Show came, Liz Winstead created this? This is amazing. I love her. She's so brilliant. And it's just, it's thank God for people like that, because I can't do that. I can't do political commentary. I can't, because I'm too emotional. I'm a bitch.
I don't sit, when I sit down to write, I never sit down to write something political, just because it doesn't have a long shelf life.
No,
and just dated, from just from a you know, a
Comedic standpoint.
comedic standpoint. Thank you. I'm losing my words.
Honey, it's
I have
okay.
a stroke right here on your show.
Stroke.
You know,
Gay pride. A lot of strokes
and then,
happening.
you know, I have one Donald Trump joke that I do, which because people say, "Oh, how come you don't do political material? Trump must be giving you all this stuff." And I said, "Well, I tried to write stuff, but I'm too angry, and it just comes out too angry that it's not quite funny."
Yeah, because you're too emotional, like I am.
Yeah.
I wrote one Donald Trump joke back in the primaries when him and Hillary were running.
Yeah.
You know, when he started touting the build the wall, the Mexicans are bringing their worst over.
Yeah.
And my only joke was, and there's the only time I only did it for like a month or two, because it's political, and I'm not a political comic.
Right.
And it's the shelf life of political jokes is like a month, 2 months tops. So I did it a few times, and I just said, "Who do you think's gonna clean your Trump Tower, bitch? I don't see you bending over with a fucking scrubby and scrubbing the shit stain out of your toilet. I don't think Melania's gonna put on an apron and cook." You know, and it was like one of those things, and I did all that, but that was it literally like 2 months I did that joke.
Right. People would say, "You did a Trump joke." Okay, this is my one attempt at the Trump joke.
Okay, let me hear.
With knock knock.
Who's there?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump who?
Donald Trump is a fascist gaseous windbag who should be strapped to a golf cart and jerked off by Edward Scissorhands. See, it's too mean.
But I added the rim shot. I made it nice. I want to make it nice. Dorinda. For those who don't know Dorinda, Real Housewife.
Nice, make it nice, make everything nice.
Yes, but I'm not really into politicals. I get too emotional like that. I get emotional, like passionate or upset. I need a break. So I talk about dumb shit.
Yeah, I talk about.
I like people to laugh, and I don't want to alienate people. I want us to come together and talk to each other, not at each other. Because you get a lot farther with that. Exactly. And, you know, it's like when I recorded my album a year and a half, whatever it was ago, brutally was on iTunes, Spotify, Apple Music, and Music.
It's great. Pick it up right
away. When I did it, it was like I had everybody from every walk of life in the room.
Right.
And it literally made me tear up at the end, watching, you know, my waspy liberal Connecticut people, my MAGA Staten Island people who I love, and my blacks from Brooklyn, what's up, Brooklyn? You know, and then I had my uppity gays, my rich gays, and I had my Twinkies, and then I had my trans, and I had my Upper East Side people, and I had my straight white guys, straight white girls.
It's like a Benetton store.
It was a total United Colors of Benetton, but it was the coolest part was watching everybody laugh at the same shit at the same time, enjoying each other. Nobody got offended.
Because they know you. Because they're there and you're connecting with them and they trust you.
Yep.
Whereas I'm sure if someone in that room quoted one of your jokes to somebody who wasn't there, who didn't know you, it would be very easy for that person to find something to take offense at. And it's, you know, it's always like a bad game of telephone.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's totally, and it's just like, you know what, if you don't like comedy, if there's a comic you don't like, just shut up and just don't listen to them.
Don't laugh.
Just scroll on by.
Don't laugh.
Ding, 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 ding.
I know.
So you,
yes,
with this whole, have you, I know you said you haven't done comedy since COVID let up, or have
I've done a couple of sets here and there, and I did one show of my own. I used to do a show like every month at the Triad Theater.
Oh, cute.
That was really fun for me because I get to do an hour, you know, which I really doing Provincetown for all the summers. I was used to getting up and, you know, and then when I'm on the road, I do a whole big thing.
Yeah.
And so after COVID, you know, I had written a book a few years ago. And so
what is it? And where can they find it?
It's called Mental, Funny in the Head, and it's a collection of 10 humorous comic essays, personal essays.
What, Papa, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Mental.
And it was a great experience. And Bob Smith actually is the one who got me to write it. And
God rest his soul.
yeah. And so I've been working on this novel for a long time now, on and off. And now I'm, you know, after working with Judy on her show, I had this idea for a show of my own, a one-person show that's comedic, but not stand-up. So I'm working on that.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that.
I want to do a comedic show about death and dying. because
I'm dead. I'm dying.
No, because it's like,
Yeah.
when things have emotional weight, they're more ripe for comedy. And death is so, everyone has some fucked up thing about it. We all have terrible superstitions. All the religions have crazy things, the different cultures. And then, and we're so removed from it now in our society. People used to die at home, and people used to die frequently,
and a lot sooner.
Childhood mortality was high, maternal mortality. People didn't live as long. Right. It's like, and it was people died, they were laid out at home, and now we whisk them off the hospitals for the most part, and everything is sanitized.
We dump them on other people, is what we do with our dying. We dump them on a hospice, a hospital.
Yeah. Well, now it's changing. More people are dying at home now than used to. It's coming back to that because people don't want to die.
We're going old school with dying.
Well, people don't want to die in a hospital. I'd rather die
Fuck no, I don't want to die
with my family, and
if I'm going to die alone, it's going to be in my room, in my bed, not in a hospital.
Yeah.
Not in a sterile, because even during COVID, I got COVID really bad.
Right.
And they wanted me to come in, and I said, nope. If I'm going to die, you're not hooking me up to a vent. Let somebody else. Let me just die alone in peace.
Right.
And here I am. I look dead.
And the thing is, because of medical advancements, which have made wonderful things possible. It's also that they've also made things terrible for people to die, because people have these horrible end of life things where they're just kept alive because they can be kept alive even though their quality of life is terrible.
Yeah, they don't even have one.
Right. And
so that's going to be hilarious.
It is so hilarious. Well, you know what? I had a year, Bob,
yes.
he passed away.
Yes.
And that was heartbreaking. And then not long after that, I had another good friend of mine who was a completely different thing. He was fine, and then he went on vacation and just died in a lounge chair, taking a nap. And then my therapist died, which was awful because he took his own life. And so all of these things started creeping into my act.
Was it something I said?
Well, that's the thing. It's like my mother was like, "What did you say to him?"
I didn't pay him right away.
Right. So I was joking like, "Oh, yeah, I knew there was something wrong," because at the end of the session, he said, "I'm sorry, my time is up."
Literally.
Just really, boom. But all of these things were so huge for me emotionally, and people understand it. People understand how hard it is to lose.
It is hard to lose, and it's hard to talk about. So if we can find humor in it, it's so cathartic. Comedy's cathartic, and we are the ones that are going to make this horrible shit easy to swallow. So stop trying to cancel us, people. Stop attacking comedians. If they suck, you can attack them.
Or just, think a second. Listen and think. And then stop. And then applaud or don't.
Yeah, and then think, this has nothing to do with me. I'll keep scrolling. Did he say your name personally? Did the comic say your name personally about the joke? No. So
that's something we talk about in Judy's show. She says, just to be clear, no comic is thinking about you or your childhood trauma or your relationship with your family when they wrote their material.
Yeah. You're thinking, who in Ohio had a shitty upbringing and lived in a single-parent home?
It's not about you.
Yeah, it's not. It's not about you. I wish it was. That's why I'm going to open my shows now with "You're so vain." You probably think this joke is about you. You're so vain.
We should try that.
We should, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that's our new musical.
We have to give royalties to Harvey Simon.
She won't care.
Is she alive still?
I think so.
I
think she's alive. Yeah, she's alive.
Oh, yeah.
Her career's dead, but
yeah, I'm sure she's hurting.
She's fine. She's fine. All the royalties she gets.
Yeah.
She's amazing. But anyway, I wanted to say thank you for being on the
thanks.
show.
It was fun. We had
so much fun. You'll have to come back on.
Sure,
there's
anytime.
so much time to do. So I always wrap up this show with 2 silly questions. It's that time, people. And question number 1. Is there a bit a comic has written that made you go, God damn it, that's brilliant. I wish I'd written that first. And what was it?
That happens
every
once in a while, but I can never then remember what they are.
Right.
I can never remember. But one thing, speaking about our friend Bob Smith,
Mhm.
he would just write really funny things and
Brilliant.
just things. And so this just reminded me of this joke that I was like, oh, I wish that I would think of things in this way.
Right.
He said, some straight friend said, what is this thing you gay people have with Judy Garland? And he said, I don't know, what's this thing you straight people have with Elvis? And he said, you know what? That's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see a fight between a Judy fan and an Elvis fan, right? It would be like Judy was a drunk. No, Elvis was a drunk. Judy could drink Elvis under the table. Elvis lost more weight. Judy gained more weight. Elvis was addicted to painkillers. No pill could solve Judy's pain. I fucked it up, but that's just
I know what you mean. Yeah, that's like that's hilarious. You guys don't know who Bob Smith is? Look him up.
Yeah.
You can find old clips of him.
Yeah, and he wrote a bunch of great books. Way to Go, Smith, Openly Bob. He wrote a great time travel novel called Remembrance of Things I Forgot, and a great novel called Selfish and Perverse.
Nice. And also this last question that I wrap up with is because I opened for Paul Mooney for 1,000 years, and he would always wrap his shows up with street jokes, but he would Mooneyize them, add a little Paul Mooney twist to them.
Okay.
And destroy. So we knew when Mooney was doing street jokes, he was wrapping it up. It was time to go. It's kind of like what Dice did, his nurturing rhymes, silly stuff. So all comics, we have a go-to street joke or silly ones that just stick with us and make us laugh. Do you have one?
Right. Well, I was a bartender for a bunch of years,
Oh,
so I used to know a lot of those: a priest, a minister, and a rabbi kind of jokes. So this is one of my favorites, and I'm sure it's not politically correct, but given our conversation,
no, it's never politically correct.
I don't know. So there's two Orthodox Jews riding around in a car, right? And you have the black hats and the curls and thing, and they pass this church that says, Mass on Sunday, bingo Wednesday night, and then at the bottom it says $500 to all converts. So one of the guys goes, Morty, we gotta check this out. And he jumps out of the car, he runs inside, he comes back out 5 minutes later, goes, Morty, they're gonna give us $500 to convert. And Morty's like, what are you talking about? Do you think that your parents scrimped and saved to send you to Hebrew school to make a bar mitzvah you could convert for $500? Go back in there and tell them no. So he runs back in, he comes back out about 10 minutes later, goes, Morty, you were right to hold out. I got them up for $1,000 each, so it's $1,000. And he's like, what? Do you think that our ancestors wandered for 40 years in the desert looking for the promised land so you could convert for $1,000? That's crazy. Go, tell them no. So he runs back in, comes back out a few minutes later and goes, Morty, I am so good. I'm so good. $2,000 a piece. $2,000. He's like, Morty is like, look. You are a Jew. Your mother was a Jew. Your father was a Jew. You were born a Jew. You're going to die a Jew. Go back in there, tell them no, and we're leaving. So he runs back in. 5 minutes later, he's not out. 10, 15 minutes, he's nowhere to be seen. Finally, after like half an hour, he comes out of the church, and the payas are clipped off, and he's got a whole new outfit. And Morty looks at him in disbelief and goes, okay, how much did they pay you? And he says, is that all you people think about?
That's crazy. I love stupid jokes. They're the best because they're so dumb.
Yeah, but it's genius.
It's so genius. I love you, my dear.
Well, thank you for having me.
You have to come back on.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, regularly.
Sure.
Like, girl, I'm going to come to your podcast.
Like, sure. Anytime. Anytime. I'll bring Lucy, the wonder dog.
Bring Lucy. Lucy is she's so delicious.
I know. She's so good the whole time here.
I forgot.
Lucy, you'll have to give a bark for us.
Yeah.
She doesn't really bark though.
No, she just gives kisses. Hi, Lucy.
You are so delicious.
Oh God, if you guys could see her, I think the video can see her.
Oh,
it's right there.
Lucy, be a star. Be a star.
She's like, this is not a stag shoot. I am not.
I know. Call my agent.
She's such a diva.
Call my agent. All right. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course. Tell everybody where they can find you on the socials and anything you want to plug.
You can just, my website is keeplaughing.com. Easy to remember because no one can ever spell, pronounce, or remember my last name.
Of course.
And you'll find me on Instagram. I have to say, I'm terrible at all this stuff. I got Instagram. I have an account. I posted 5 pictures like 5 years ago. And
Hilarious.
That's it. But I have
all of his pictures on Grindr.
On Facebook, yeah.
And Scruff.
I'm gonna have a Lonely Fans page.
I have an OnlyFan page.
Lonely
Singular
fans.
people. Anyway, that's our show.
All right.
Remember to follow us here at Old School
Yes,
New
and
School
happy
Comedy.
Pride Month, everyone.
Yes, happy Pride. Follow us on Instagram at Old School New School Comedy. You can follow me everywhere at Christy Miller Comedy. And follow Eddie Sarfaty. I said it wrong.
Sarfaty.
I'm such a mess.
It's
Sarfaty.
fine.
Eddie Sarfaty on Instagram and Facebook. Go to his website, keeplaughing.com. And please like, subscribe, and share the show.
And
we
keep
love
laughing.
you.